Hello and welcome. My name is Scott Suskovic. I'm pastor at Christ Lutheran Church, and welcome to this podcast that we call Deeper Dive, in which we take a look at the previous Sunday's sermon and go at a deeper level for a great conversation. We're glad you're here. Welcome to this next episode of our podcast called Deeper Dive, in which we take a look at the previous Sunday's sermon and go in a deeper direction than we're constrained on Sunday morning. So Pastor Scott here, joined with
Pastor Adrian.
And we're still talking about abundant living.
Yeah.
Here's I don't know if this is a weird thing. Here's a little bit of a weird thing. Our people are smart, and I think they figured out that October is Stewardship Month. And some of them run away. They go to the mountains to see dead leaves on the trees. They go to Parents' Weekend. They get out of town, because, Pastor Scott's going to talk about giving, and they know what the story is. But here's the strange thing. I received, I don't know, 3 or 4, 5 positive comments about the sermon, positive comments about a sermon on giving.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and maybe you can guess is that the common thread of all those comments was gratitude for not guilting us into giving.
Wow. Yeah, thinking about kind of what are some of the traditional approaches to that guilt may not be in your face, but it can always be kind of lurking in the background with maybe stewardship sermons. Right. What are some of those you think that, you need to give because otherwise we can't continue what we do?
Yeah.
What are some of those that you've encountered over time?
Well, it was interesting when I did my first capital campaign. And I thought naively, we want to build a ministry center. Here's a pledge card. Please give. And our consultant said there are 7 different reasons why people give. Wow. And one of them is out of guilt. But the other ones were, one, for instance, I remember, was out of recognition. I will give if I can dedicate this room, this candlestick, this bathroom to my aunt and to the glory of God. They want a little recognition there. Others want to give because they want to be the gap filler. So, and I had one of them too, where they said, you go talk to everybody else, you tell me what the gap is, and I'll see what I can do. They wanted to come in there and be the hero.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
With a big check and fill in the gap. I remember another one. I had done this campaign for like weeks and thought and it was a very active member. And I said, well, I noticed you haven't brought in your commitment card yet. He says, no, I haven't. I said, why? He said, because you haven't asked me. I said, for 6 weeks, I've been asking everybody. I've been writing letters. I've been preaching. He said, but you haven't asked me.
Personally.
I said, so I'm asking. He said, sure, I'll give.
Wow.
And he gave a nice gift. But, I don't know what that motivation was. So there's a lot of different motivations there. And but I think the best is what we talked about on Sunday. Remember that story about the young girl and the candy?
Yes, I love the girl in the candy store, the father just giving her the dime to get 10 candies she liked. And I imagine them in the car on the way home.
Right.
And he just asks for one piece.
Just one.
Just one.
But in that pause, looking at that treasure in her hand, she had to make a decision here about should I do it or not. And in that pause, that's where the dad saw himself before God. God had certainly blessed him, but he was pausing about whether or not to give any in return. So the takeaway for me was not so much the percentage. She had 10 pieces, she gave him one, because I don't hear Jesus or Peter or Paul or any of the other New Testament authors speaking specifically about a tithe. Now, it could just be assumed that that's what everybody gives, so you wouldn't have to say it. That's a valid argument, but they don't do it in an obligatory way that I heard like in the Old Testament.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I mean, especially with our gospel, was it the widow's mite? And that was everything.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I don't think there's no reference I can think of where it's give 10% tithe. There's messages about giving, whether it's to the temple, whether it's to Caesar, but no specific number. That's an Old Testament starting in Exodus, first fruits, and then it's in Deuteronomy.
Malachi.
And Malachi.
Yep.
So yeah, this was a theme in the Old Testament of the first fruits.
So I know for me, my parents never sat down with me and told me how much they gave to the church. No one ever did any kind of budgeting with me, and I think Gretchen and I just kind of tried to figure it out ourselves. And I remember that we kind of started, well, let's do 5%, and then commit ourselves to growing every year in that. And that's how we kind of came across. Did you have anybody talk to you about giving?
Well, my grandma always made sure I was aware of. She would give me money, though. She would give me her money to put in the offering plate.
Yeah.
And my parents never told me how much they gave, but they always, I think I was in high school when they started it wasn't like a conversation. We didn't sit down, but it was more like, 'cause I had started working. I was working in a movie theater, and just kind of an awareness of giving, putting some in the offering.
Yeah. Nathan is still in the middle of his schooling, education stuff going on. And so I haven't had the conversation with him. But when Hannah got out of PT school, and she was going to get the apartment and everything else, we did sit down with a budget.
Oh, wow.
And we figured out what her take home was going to be. And I said, you've got this much. She said, wow, that looks, she's never made much money in her life. So, wow, that looks great. I said, it is good. You've got a good salary here. Well, let's start breaking it down. And as soon as we broke it down from car payment and rent and food and entertainment, and pretty soon it got small really, really quickly.
Yeah.
We really kind of worked on that 80-10-10 rule. That you live on 80, you save 10, and you give 10. Now, I don't know exactly what she did with that, but at least we had that conversation.
That framework, that's huge. It was always hardest for me being in school to tithe, because we don't have money coming in, it's amazing.
Living
you make
on a
it through
small
on what you
margin.
have. Yeah.
Small margin.
That's the hardest time to tithe. But even I think adults, we realize there isn't a lot of financial education out there. Still, I took Dave Ramsey's class,
that's
and
great.
so much was new to me. I was like, wow, I never thought about some of the techniques like snowballing, how to pay things off. And that's something I think we're seeing is so needed and so great to sit down with Hannah and be able to help her figure out this great number and all the places it goes, because it does change what you can spend.
What we learned then from that little girl with the candy, as well as Paul, a couple of things to be able to not be too legalistic about it. And that was probably the consistent message that I received from people about the sermon. They said, thank you for not guilting us into it. Thank you for not. And I think that people respond more out of joy of giving rather than out of the guilt of giving.
Yeah.
And the second one was, I love that word, to give cheerfully, hilaros.
That's a great description
Hilarity.
of cheerful giving.
And I didn't hear a single belly laugh as that plate was being passed through.
Oh, man.
as I was being pastor.
But
So
I think everyone thought about it. We're all
were
thinking
they?
about
They're
it.
chuckling
And actually,
to themselves?
yes, and I actually talked to someone after church, and he kind of, because I missed it because I was in Christ Kids, the traditional service, so
Oh,
I didn't
yeah,
get to
yeah,
hear
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
sermon the first time, and he was like, oh, and you know what Pastor Scott said about cheerful giving, and he said, I do it because I love it, and like he had a great embodiment of that joy. It
Well,
was
that's
beautiful.
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. But I think the last one, I mean, we can not be legalistic, give what we decide to give, and we can do it cheerfully. But it could be, here's $5, here's $10. I'm happy about doing it, and this is what I decided to give. But this is the third lesson that little girl gave us, that that Jesus also confirmed with the widow's mite. You gotta feel it. You gotta feel it. I mean, a $1,000 commitment to a church for one person, that might mean some changes in their lives. $1,000 to another one, they wouldn't even miss
Feel it. Yeah.
But that young girl, to give up one of her 10 treasured pieces of hand-picked candy, she's going to feel it.
Yeah.
She's going to feel it. Some changes have to happen, and I think that's a really good lesson about giving as well.
Yeah, and I think you addressed the issue of the complexity of giving today in a really helpful way, because we're giving so many different places.
Right.
What counts, what doesn't count, or for her, it's like right in front of her hands, where everything's so abstract in many ways. To think, how do we serve the kingdom? Is it always through? What means is it through?
I remember one time years ago, there was a guy on church council, a very successful, professional, uptown office kind of guy, and he gave very little to the church. And I remember having lunch with him for some other reason, and I don't know why I was so bold, but I said, I noticed that your giving seems low. Is there any reason for that, or have we offended you? Do you have another charity that you support heavily, or? And that's where he used the example that I brought up on Sunday. He had a sister that was, I don't know exactly what was wrong, some sort of a mental incapacitation or something like that, and trying to live independently, but clearly could not on her own. And he was paying her rent.
Wow. Yeah.
And I said, I see that as part of your charity giving. I mean, there's no other organizations that's going to do that. There's no other help that she was going to have. And your feeling says, yeah, I'm paying her rent every month.
Wow. That's kind of like part of the calling that we have, the different callings
Right.
we have. His calling as a brother, his calling as a family member,
Right.
taking care of her, making sure she can make ends meet.
And I know I don't know if he felt, put on the spot by me. I don't know if he felt guilt. But I tried to assure him that, the giving, wherever we give, is not so much fundraising for the church. It is fundraising for the Diabetes Foundation. It is fundraising for your alma mater.
Yeah.
But for the church, if we believe that all is God's, we're just giving back what is His. And but I just wanted to assure him that now not every pastor is going to
Right. There's a wide
agree with
variation,
that.
as you admitted. Yeah, because someone may, kind of can push someone to say, wow, is diabetes research? Is that for the kingdom?
Right.
But, someone else would say, yeah, it's healing. That's
Right.
something we hope to give people who can't maybe pay for themselves.
Right.
So there are lots of ways to interpret it.
Right. So I didn't have any problem with that. But we can talk all we want about not legalistically, joyfully, hilariously, and you should feel it a little bit. But really, I think that the strong lesson that the guy learned from his daughter is it's all about a relationship. Sure, Daddy. Which one would you like? And it's in that relationship that our giving is not out of compulsion or guilt. It is a joy, just like it was a joy for that guy to pay for his sister's rent
Yeah, out of love.
out of love. And when we can do that, I think that our giving makes an even greater impact, no matter the amount.
Yeah, giving with intention.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm really excited about this Sunday, Reformation Sunday, and how it connects to stewardship.
So am I. I wonder how it's going to connect. I haven't written it
Find
yet.
out.
But so this coming Sunday, October 26th, is Reformation Sunday. I'm pretty sure the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church is not going to be celebrating it. The Methodists, yeah, maybe not. Bet against it. Baptists, probably not. Presbyterians, maybe. Lutherans,
Definitely.
absolutely, yes.
This is most certainly true.
This is most certainly true. So wear red and bring your commitment card for 2026 and stick around for Oktoberfest. That we're going to enjoy some beer and axe throwing, but not necessarily in that order.
That's right. And the axe throwing is inflatable. It's always a good caveat to have that.
Yeah, good point. Good point. All right, we'll see you next week.